Hello ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? My name is Blue and welcome to the ESL Weekly Cup number 43. Today we have 8 teams ready to go and are ready to step up to the plate for their opportunity to be crowned this week's champion. I'm going to be joined today by Jebro. Jebro, how you doing today as we try to fix your camera right now because it's a little bit off here. That's my fault. It's my fault, not yours, so I'll fix it. But...
No worries, no worries. I'm all good. I'm all good, man. Excited for another ESL Cup after Gamescom and having to break for 2 weeks. So looking forward to that. And yeah, I think my head almost disappeared just because my headset's underneath my chair for some reason. But otherwise, I'm very good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm just trying to fix you here at the moment. I just got moved in. Some people may notice the different scenery here at the moment, so I'm trying to get that fix. Or I just moved into my new apartment actually, so I'm just trying to.
Oh, apartment.
Yeah, I'm in an apartment
now.
It's no longer. There we go. Hold on. I think we got you good now. Give me 1 second.
Oh wow, I'm looking forward to seeing.
We're almost prepped. We're trying to keep the conversation going as we
I can't see it until
we fix the stream, but we're almost there.
I can't see it until the actual stream comes on for me because there's that delay. So I kind of want to see, but I'm excited. So we got Predator Esports versus Too Young for Esports. No, Too Young to Be Esports, and we got some cool names in here actually. Like you can see, Lord of Sur, Lipion, Drazir, of course. We do have Kazer as well. Kazer?
Yep, yeah, Kazer.
And Faror as well. And then we've got Predator Esports, who was it Pizza with Nutella they were called before? I can't remember. Yeah. And then they got, I think they've got Predator Esports on their side, so that's why they called Predator Esports. And yeah, so standard map rotation, Forest, Fire, then Battle of Kylo. And I think we might go through the builds, I suppose.
Indeed, let us take a very quick look at those builds, ladies and gentlemen, starting off first with Predator Esports over here on the red side. We have this chicken first off playing what appears to be a fairly standard Condi engine, nothing too out of the ordinary here. This does differ a little bit from the usual kind of rifle celestial control engine we see played a lot on NA. A lot of EU NGs still do try to adopt this Condi focus build, which is still very good in itself. The trait split 6 points into explosives, obviously to boost those explosive potencies, and then over in the alchemy tree, going to be taking quite a few defensive traits as well, both backpack regenerate and protection injection make him very good, and he has quite a few utilities indeed, so we'll be seeing him in the team fights as well as on his lonesome quite a bit. Moving on from that, we have Unbreakable Pride, who is playing the fairly typical once again here Bunker Guardian 01664. Altruistic healing. His build is going to be a little bit more selfish than really say like a Virtues build or something like that, but it's going to allow him to stay up and alive in the fights for much longer. The biggest boost it's going to give is to the Empower ability, number 4 on staff there. The more people as around him, the more that is going to heal for us. He's going to give those might stacks to more and more of his teammates, and it's going to be very good in very large team fights. Moving on from that, we have Atrastia, who I believe is playing that Flavor of the Month Thief build at the moment, running with 20066 along with Sword, Dagger, Berserker's Amulet, and Runes of Strength. Not too much damage in this build as far as Thief builds go, but it does kind of stack up that damage as the fight goes on, and this build has a lot more sustain as well, just due to the dodge potential that is available in this build. So we're going to be seeing him staying in the fights, staying kind of just in the rough of it itself for a lot longer than say a DP Thief would. Second to last player for this team is going to be Naya, who's going to be playing a Spirit Ranger here, short bow, along with a sword and an offhand Warhorn at the moment. That'll probably get swapped to a dagger when the game actually gets started, though. Running it with a Carrion Amulet to get a little bit extra Condi damage. Sometimes we see Settler's Amulet, sometimes we see Celestial Amulet used to give a little bit of extra support, but he's going to be going for the Condi approach, which I generally speaking agree with. I find that to be a little bit more, just in general, it seems to work just a little bit better, so I do appreciate that approach being used there. And other than that, it's going to be fairly standard traits, 20660. Last but not least will be Mr. Demon Lord, who is going to be playing that infamous Hambo build. He will play it with a Celestial Amulet, though, so he's going to get that little bit of extra Condi pressure coming off there in the longbow there, specifically with those burn ticks. They'll be doing a little bit more damage due to that choice, and as well, his healing signet will be working for him just a little bit more. Jebro, very quickly go ahead and take a look at the blue team builds, and then we can go ahead and get started with game 1 here.
Okay, so having a look at Drazir, he will be playing Warrior, and he's obviously got for the longbow and the hammer as well, so Hambo build for him. This is standard. He's got the Soldier's Amulet with the Holbrook runes, with the standard traits of 00626. Going straight over to Ferrar, he'll probably tell me that's wrong later, but he's playing Elementalist, and he'll be going for, at the moment, Staff. He has gone for the Pirate rune, so I think he'll be sticking with that. And Celestial Amulet going for the 00266, able to get off them somewhat with the condition cleanse, not too bad. They haven't got a Guardian in this team, so that 2 Ellies are going to be, you know, pretty necessary. So it's kind of almost like a cheese mode setup they have over on that side as well. He is, of course, going for the blasting staff trait, which means he will stay in the staff. Going over to Lipion, he'll be playing. Looks like an eviscerate build with the axe, of course. He does have Warhorn at the moment. He'll probably change that out. Also with the longbow, I'm guessing he'll change the Warhorn to a sword. Celestial Amulet with the Holbreck rune, and also going for 00446. So we don't normally see so many points into tactics. So going for quick breathing, which reduces recharge on Warhorn skills. So maybe he is going to go for the Warhorn. So that's fair enough. Trying to give himself a little bit more utility in that build, which is quite nice.
Very interesting build indeed there, as we don't see neither this trait split nor these weapon choices kind of at all there. So we're going to see how that plays off. Other than that, though, it does appear to be a pretty normal, a pretty normal eviscerate build. But it's just, again, it's very interesting to see those kinds of weapons coming into play here.
Yeah, I mean, it does cure the. I keep forgetting sometimes what's on the Warhorn sometimes with the charge and also with the call to arms as well. So curing those various conditions and also giving some vigor. Okay, right. Ken's shouting at me to go over his build because he's just changed it. So we'll have a look at that after quickly, or we can have a look at it in the game. We'll just finish these builds first. Going over to Kaza. He's going to be playing the engineer. He looks like he's going to be at the moment with the pistol and the shield, going for Balthazar rune and the rabbit amulet. Standard build 60062, and he's going to be going with the bomb kit, the grenade kit, and also Elixir S. Not opting for the toolkit there, so he's going for a little bit more damage, but of course Elixir S is going to help him in to avoid the extra damage if he pops that, and then also stealthing with the toolbelt skills there. Pardon me. Going over to Lord Asura now, he's going to be playing the Elementalist, and he's going to be going for the, at the moment, with the staff. He's got the Rune of Strength, so probably switch out for Dagger. Going for the Celestial Amulet, and also 00266. He's gone for Renewing Stamina in the Arcana Tree, which means he will be going to Dagger, most likely. And so, yeah, no Guardian, but it looks like going to go for this cross-cleanse tactic that we've seen with Cheese Mode, of course. As some of these guys, Lord Asura is in Cheese Mode, so, you know. I mean, that's probably an idea from there, but, you know, it could work pretty well, works quite well for them. Having a quick look at Ken again, he has just changed his utilities to Toolkit, to Grenade Kit, and also to the Flamethrower there. So he has indeed changed those utilities, as he did have a few more gadgets there before, which I think he was just screwing around with. Nothing really changed in the traits, I don't think, so let's get on with the game. If you're there. Hello?
Sorry about that, Jebro. It's so sorry.
I thought I'd lost connection.
No. It's like I said, it's moving day right now, so like my roommate just arrived and I had to go let him in there real quick. So sorry about that.
Oh, okay. No worries at all, man. No worries.
So where are we at here? Did we get everybody's build, or?
We've done the blue builds, and Ken's just added a flamethrower, so he's got a little bit of burning in there, extra burning and whatnot. And it should be quite nice. You can also do a bit of a knockback, and you can increase your survivability doing that knockback, of course, as well. Also, quite good as well if people are trying to go for downs or whatnot. If they haven't got stability, he can help in that way as well. So should be quite nice, actually. Should be quite good. We'll see how he does with that. And, it does reduce his survivability if he's not going to go for something like Elixir S, of course. Normally goes for bombs. He does still have those quite a few defensive utilities though through the toolkit, and as well the flamethrower will offer quite a few defensive options as well. But again, without that complete immunity from Elixir S, or again the res utility that comes up from Elixir, it will give him down just a little bit. But overall, should still be able to perform fairly well anyway. Yeah. So yeah, we can. I'm
just waiting on Kazier at this point. Apologies once more, guys, for me having to go AFK there. That should hopefully be the only time I have to do that today.
The match starts soon.
As once again, we're still getting moved in here in my new apartment.
Moving day. There's got to be a song about that.
All right, guys, but I think we are pretty much ready to go here. So we're starting off with the first round. It's Predator Esports on the red team going up against Too Young to Be Esports over on the blue team. Quite a lot of esports today. But once again, it's a best-of-3 set. First team to 2 points moves on to the semifinals. So let us take a look at what is happening. A bit of a dangerous beach play here with both teams opening up in stealth. We do see over there Unbreakable Pride actually catching those guys off. So they're going to throw them into combat. Red team, however, will keep their full combat speed, which means they'll arrive at the point just slightly earlier there. Both teams should be able to stop the full caps from happening, though, as you can see here at the moment. We do have Lipion getting over here onto the mine point and stopping that from happening. And then, of course, both members from the red team that crossed over here towards the henge have also stopped those caps. Meanwhile, back in mid, we have Atrastia going up against Draze. Draze in the long game should be able to take the advantage over here, just considering, again, that a warrior, generally speaking, with longbow will have much better on-point presence. But Atrastia as well seems to be handling things quite well here at the moment, while keeping that on-point pressure and just in general trying to avoid those hammer swings to the best of his abilities. But again, the bigger fight is also happening back over here at the mine. So Jebro, tell us what we got going on over here.
Well, actually, they made a bit of a mistake. I don't believe anyone actually went to the point to try and cap it. Like, they were on their way, and they got kind of a bit delayed on the way, so they actually did quite well to get that cap. But look, over on the mine side of the moment, Lypion and Farrar and also Kaza just wiped up Naya and also Unbreakable. So, you know, they've kept 3 players out of the actual fight with that 2 versus 3. Of course, they weren't going to win that probably in all likelihood, which means they've given them more time to spread to the midpoint at the moment. They just need to hold that henge and be careful of those any respawns that do come out from blue if they do lose these team fights, of course, in the mid. We do see the red thief at the moment has gone down on point. Needs to be very careful. No one can actually get in there to res. Ken is just off point
Ken is under just way too much pressure here as well. There's far too much AoE going down on the point. There's literally no way they would have been able to get that thief back up anyway, because he's far too low of a health. Just in general, he's way too squishy to even try to get up in that scenario. So it's much better for Ken to just try and get out of here, regroup now with, I believe it's Mr. Demon Lord, and then try to push in a little bit later now. Now keep in mind, again, this is still going to be a dangerous situation regardless, because the longer they kind of wait out here, the longer they kind of just in general have themselves open in the middle of the field, that's less time they're going to be on the point, that's less time they're going to be fighting for decaps, and it does give the blue team very slowly obviously, but it does slowly give the blue team more and more of an advantage.
Yeah, exactly, and they've actually moved back over to the mine quite well, because they knew the respawn was coming out, so they needed to move over to that point quite quickly to make sure that anyone that was respawning wasn't going to take the point quite quickly. And Lypion's the one who's really under pressure here, and the blue team, Atrastia, has had to just kind of get out of that all that jive business is going down on the point at the moment. Just needed to use that SR to get out of there. It's got a few stacks of burning, so it just needs to be very careful on that node at the moment. And it's just a big team fight happening currently over on the mine. We do see Naya has advanced from henge to mid to try and engage on that 1v1, because they do know that the whole team fight is currently going down over at the mine at the moment. They do need to be careful, of course. If they do kill anyone on the blue team, then they're just going to be able to respawn and retake that, of course. So he's going to probably have to back out there at some point. Doesn't look like Atrastia is going to move back to the mid as well to engage on the 2v1 on that midpoint. And it does look like maybe this mine is just a distraction away from capping the mid.
Indeed. Just to talk a little bit about the blue team composition here as we go off on a tangent. This is another one of those compositions that's been popping up fairly recently. It kind of had its roots in North America, but it's slowly been expanding over here to EU as well, where teams just run completely without a guardian and instead just have 2 or 3 bulkier players that can kind of do the same job of kind of acting as a paperweight to make sure the point doesn't get decapped. But at the moment here too is that I've really liked what Lypion has done here with the Warhorn at the moment, because it's very much so a hard counter to most of the red team damage. They're very heavily focused on Connies when you consider Naya, when you consider Demon Lord, and keep in mind Demon Lord is very much so much more physical, but he still has a decent amount of Connie through the longbow. But then you also have Ken, who's full Connie. Lypion is much more highly suited to deal with Connies. Already warriors are extremely well at trying to do that, but with the weapons he's chosen and with the traits he's chosen here, he's going to be able to deal with that even better. And it just in general makes the red team's job very hard indeed to try and kill the tankiest player on this team, which does end up being Lypion.
Yeah, exactly. But now look, they've killed someone at mid, so Lord Asura is down over on the midpoint, so they need to make sure they're sent over someone to henge, which they haven't done. So Dresse can now just cap the point, and they'll be back for the 2 caps. So all they've done really is they've clawed back a couple of points here and there, but you know, it's not going to do them any favors in the long run. They've just switched to mid, and if they can win that mine fight, then it will eventually go in their favor, but they need to try and win it faster, because at the moment it does feel like blue just have too much sustain over on this point. They're getting a couple of kills across the map, but they're not really getting anywhere in terms of getting a decap. The point is fully capped. Even though we see Pharaoh currently under a lot of pressure, he is going to go down. And if they can kill him and get him out of this fight, then they will win this. He's just gone into misform, just in that down state ability, of course, just on the node. So they need to try and put some cleave down as someone goes for the down, which Demon Lord has secured. and Lord Asura now probably the next target for these guys as they try to get this node as soon as possible.
I think the eventual outcome of this fight will probably end up in Red Team favor. Keep in mind, again, they have a much more traditional team composition, which means that they can fight on for a lot longer. I'm not going to say that it's going to be flawless and they won't lose anyone else here. I mean, you can see Demon Lord and whatnot getting low, but at the same time here, it's going to take a very, very, very long time for them to completely end the fight over here, just due to the fact that, again, with the composition blue team is running, they have a lot of just bulky players suited for team fighting, but can hold a 1v2 or even a 1v3 for a fairly decent amount of time, which means that for as long as blue team wants to, they can just continuously toss people that are coming off of the respawn back over onto this point to extend the duration of the fight, and that in itself is just allowing blue team to slowly keep their lead alive and rolling here, as it is still at about, I'd say about 60 to 70 points here at the moment.
Yeah, Demon Lord did just go down. I believe he just did get rezzed as well. So the rezzing is very good from the red team at the moment. They have got Lipion down, but look how many points they're winning by, just because this fight have gone so long now. We've got 100 points almost on the leaderboard. And actually, Naya's moved from mid because I think he felt fairly useless. And maybe that impatience could be taken up by the blue team to send someone possibly over to the mid to get that cap. But at the moment, they don't really need to because they're sustaining well on the side nodes. And Naya possibly could even go down. Not sure this 1v1 was a particularly good idea because Lord Asura can just leg it over towards the midpoint as Naya respawn would have to go jump over.
Naya going down there now with Lord Asura, knocking him out, saying he's so tired, so please spare him, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case. Blue team will hold on to control of the henge, and then back over here at the mine, the fight is still not over here. There's still a full-on engagement going. We've seen member after member of the blue team get knocked into the downstate and knocked out here, but regardless of all of that, red team has yet to fully even make a decap here yet. So with that said, red team at the moment here really just struggling to try and get that second point under their control, and keep in mind too that they've also lost mid over here now too. That was recently decapped, I believe, by Lord Asura, and has now been forced into a 1v1 between Thishtaken and Lord Asura for control of that. Blue team as well, good job reinforcing that. Red team a little bit too slow on their rotation over there, so Drazi was able to ensure that that stayed in the full cap scenario over there for the members of the blue team, and Naya as well will now be forced to rotate back over towards middle in an attempt to getting a 2v2 skirmish where they can hopefully get back control of that midpoint. But at the moment here, blue team just absolutely dominating so far on this map, not letting the red team have anything at all here. And even though we are probably in an eventual scenario going to be looking at the red team taking it, they do need to speed up their fights a little bit longer, or the blue team is still just going to engulf them by the end of this game.
Literally, it's taken them, what, 5 minutes they've been on this node for, and to be honest, they have got it now, but it really, I mean, I think Naya made a mistake going over towards the henge. I know he felt useless in doing what he did, but that actually cost them a lot of points. You know, they've actually extended their lead by 150 now, getting that decap. They're only just getting back that cap into the game. Lord Asura is down mid, so possibly red are going to get a 2 cap, but still, you know, if blue plant money people onto this point, then they could probably sustain the fight enough to keep it capped and actually to get the recap as well. And it looks like Ferraro is going to advance there. Lipion looks like he's just going to engage the red warrior as well over on the way to the mine point. It does look like we're just going to have a big massive team fight here, and it doesn't feel like red are going to be able to actually get anything out of this in any kind of, you know, speed. They need to potentially send someone over to henge to maybe contest that, break up this whole sustained damage and health pool that the blue team really do have over on mid at the moment.
And we do have that right now. Ken is making his way over there to the henge, with blue team being so heavily focused on the defense here. Keep in mind too that that was one of the bonuses the red team was getting now by finally taking mine, was they could finally get some momentum and push into the blue team's territory. That is the blue team's enemy. Blue team needs to make sure fights go on for as long as possible and make sure that, again, they keep those fights stalemated. With what red team had going though, they were able to take a very large advantage that forced most of the blue team to condense into one spot to try and elongate that fight, and Ken was able to take an advantage over there by decapping. In the long run of things, we have still seen the blue team with a very significant lead, but again, if we see red team making a decap in mid, it's very unlikely, don't get me wrong, but if we do see the red team able to get a decap over here towards mid, which their thief is going to attempt to do now, and they can just split themselves up a little bit better and try to go for a few side fight skirmishes. Keep in mind, the blue team, again, they're built to stalemate, but they're not necessarily built to win fights very quickly too, so they could take their own advantage and kind of turn it against them here, and red team might be able to make a comeback with that, but the scores, unfortunately, are making that seem very, very unlikely, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, big team fights, I'm going to favour them against the blue team at the moment. You know, if they were engaged on 4 versus 4 people on the point, include, like, you know, they've got the 2 warriors and all the Ellies there, they're not going to be able to win it in any kind of, not very quickly. I mean, that's been proved over on the mine, like, for quite a considerable amount of time. The 1 cap each means this is going to likely go to blue. All they need to do is get a boss kill, even if they get a full 3 cap from the red team. So the likelihood the red team is going to come back is very, very low indeed. And people really do struggle against these. We've seen against Cheese Mode, you know, people struggling immensely. And it's where you disperse your players. It's where you go for the matchups. It's how you disperse those players across the map. Do you go for the full team fight? Do you go for the 2v2s on the side, 1v1 in the mid? What do you do? And it's tough, you know, because I don't think team fighting is really going to help them versus this kind of setup.
And there you have it, folks. Congratulations to Too Young to Be Esports. They're going to be taking Game 1, which means they'll be 1 victory away from a spot in the semifinals of this week's ESL Weekly Cup, and 1 game away as well from eliminating Predator Esports from the Cup this week. We're now going to be heading into our second game, which will be over on Legacy of the Faux Fire. So, Jebro, how do you think things are going to go over on Legacy?
They have to spread them across the map. They have to spread the blue team across the map so that they can't actually back up. They can't move from a point because they have to stay there to keep each other sustained, you know. Like once they get into 1v1s, even though they can win those 1v1s, you know, they're going to have to focus all their burst damage on one person. They need to be focused on one target a little bit more than they currently have, because it feels like there's quite a lot of AoE rather than actual focused target damage. You know, I mean, Ken's got AoE with his bombs. He's not got much with his grenades. And again, with the flamethrower, it's not really that single target. You know, he's got the pistol and whatnot, which is really his only single target ability, other than potentially some toolkit abilities as well, and maybe 1 or 2 on the flamethrower. Atrassi really, you know, he's not bursty enough to take someone down so fast to assist with that. So it feels like they really have a damage issue against this team because it's so bunkery, you know, it's bunkery DPS, and it's just a pain in the butt to deal with. And
yeah,
the Lord, I feel like it could be something which they could bring in to actually help them, but they need to sustain the points enough to get 350, and by doing that, you know, we haven't seen Cheese Mode being beaten much in these cups or any games that I've seen really that recently, unless you have some insight for me that I'm not aware of. Or a suggestion.
I don't believe I do. To update as well, guys, I think I just turned the sound up. Apologies for that. I think my the levels have been reset when I rehooked up my computer the other day. But if it is too loud now, I'll have you know, kind of a spam out in the Twitch chat, and I'll have one of the admins let me know, and we can try to turn it down once again. So hopefully we have fixed those sound issues from earlier, and apologize if the sound was a little bit too low. But again, like I said, pretty much like you were saying here, damage is definitely the issue. The speed of the fights is way too long, and that's giving blue team a huge advantage. The name of the game for them is the fact that they want to be able to stalemate things. So small change-ups here, like Lee were saying, possibly switching Atrastia over to a DP Thief or something like that, or maybe even just having Mr. Demon Lord swap from Celestial Amulet over to or swapping him over to Zerker's Amulet over there.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. And I think those 2 changes, they're really the only changes you could make, you know, because Ken can't really do that much. He can't really do any burst other than, you know, switching into flipping gadgets or something like that. And it's going to be an issue for them. And I think you're right about Demon Lord possibly going to Zerker's. And then, yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, Nias needs to be used more in the team fights, maybe with the utility. I think he was left on his own at different points in this map as well, which, you know, he would have been quite useful for rezzing and also for providing sustained support on the points as well. So maybe try and get Naya a bit more involved, maybe try and put Demon Lord a little bit more on the bunker position that he was in when he was stuck at mid at the keep. But maybe we can go now. Hopefully.
Keep in mind here as well that just in general, because of the map we're now on over here on Legacy, the red team, in my opinion, will get a pretty decent advantage because of the mid fight here. They, in general, are going to have a much better opportunity to try and take that mid fight because they have a Guardian, because they have that extra support in play here. It definitely will still be a very long mid fight, but I do think red team will end up coming out of it with kind of the bargaining position in terms of where they do decide to go on that map. They will have to be careful of back caps, but again, when you consider who's on the blue team here, there's not really anyone that can go for back caps or try to initiate those fights over there without really being noticed. So as long as blue team keeps their eyes out and plays to their strengths, where there's going to be that team fight, they should be able to pull this map back in their favor. But we're going to find out in just a few minutes, guys, if they are able to do that. Gates are opening up in 3 seconds, so let's get to it. Predator Esports spawning on the south side of the map in the Char base, with Too Young to Be Esports spawning on the north side of the map in the Ascalonian base. Predator Esports, or not, apologies, Too Young to Be Esports is up 1-0 at the moment, so if they take this game, it is all over. But Jebro, let's take a look and see what is going on with these splits.
The blue look like they're going for a 2-1 split. Not sure. Kazer is actually hiding around the side to make sure that he's not going to be seen too much by Demon Lord and Ken over on the waterfall flight at the moment, which he's just engaged upon as well. So we currently have a 2-1-2 split from both teams. The Guardian really, in my opinion, probably in the wrong position at the moment and probably needs to be on one of these side nodes. But of course now he cannot disengage from that because they will lose caps and they will probably lose a player on each side of the map. And when that happens, you know, I think they're just going to disperse to mid. And I think Blue are going to take some early points here, to be honest. It's going to be very, very tough for these guys with their Guardian bunker in that position. But Draz's taking a lot of pressure as well. You can see how much AoE is on this point at the moment over in Waterfall. You know, we talked about that focus damage, which isn't possible from these two combinations, which have just gone into the side, other than potentially Naya and Atrasti, where at the moment, we are seeing the red team going down a lot over the map. Low HP from everyone.
The side nodes are going very much so in the favor of the blue team here. Too young to be esports, you can see here at the moment, just absolutely dominating over here at the waterfall. But then we take a look back over here at the quarry. It does seem that Predator has taken a slight advantage, but Lypion, hold on now. A little bit too low over here. Atrastia can't dive in just yet. Naya's gonna go down. Lypion gets back up. Very well done indeed. And with these reinforcements coming over from Lord Asura, that should pretty much guarantee the point. Good holdout once again there by Lypion, and it looks like that they are gonna be able to take control of this point here. Excellently done by blue team. Again, we were looking at that fight a little bit a few seconds ago, and it looked pretty dominantly in the favor of Predator Esports, but excellent play by Lypion there. Managed to allow them to turn it around, and now is gonna give them the opening 2-cap.
Yeah, it was as if he knew he was going to go down, so he just kept that pressure rather than trying to go for the down and actually, you know, getting the focus damage on him and going down without actually, you know, getting that kill onto the opposite team member. So it's quite nice, the tactic he used there. I think he was very aware. I don't think it was fluky at all. I think that was just, you know, some skillful play. And we are going to see the 2-cap come out. So it's going to, you know, I think the potential for this to snowball early on is very, very likely. And the red team are now pushing towards mid, which is the only chance really at the moment for them to try and get a cap. But, you know, of course, this point is very massive, so they need to try and keep some pressure in there. It looks like just going to keep the 1v1 going over at Waterfall and the 2v2 situation going over at the quarry. But again, you know, they're not doing too well here. Lypion's under a lot of pressure, but so is Demon Lord. Demon Lord just going down off point, and all they need to do is keep a bit of pressure, but Lypion's gone down as well. Is Lord Asura going to go for the down, or is he going to go for the res?
Naya needs to get out of here at the moment too. Naya's very low there as well. Unfortunately, Naya not really going to be able to go for the res, but Demon Lord here going to try to go for the clutch vengeance stomp, and it looks like counter vengeance to counter that at self-act. Very well done by Lypion once again. Do not believe we're going to see Demon Lord get the kill on the Lypion here, and even so, I think he's going to run out of time anyway, so there you go. And oh my goodness, look, Lypion rezzed off of the points there. So Lypion is now back up and in play, and with that, blue team is going to keep their strength to full back over here at the quarry as they continue onward with this fight. Naya's a little bit low here as well, and I think, unfortunately, he doesn't really have a lot of passive regen going on there at the moment without his spirit or anything out. Trying to see what his cooldowns are looking like. Yep, unfortunately, not going to be able to get that healing spring down, so now Naya goes down. Ken's rather low here as well, so I don't think he'll get that red. Somewhat close, but unfortunately still they're not executed in time, and this leaves only Thishchikin on the node, and unfortunately in a 2v1 there's not much he's going to be able to do, so this node once more will stay in control of the blue team.
Yeah, in this situation, Ken should have just ran away, you know. He's in the 2v1, the node is not his, I'm not anywhere to being his, and he just needed to try and disengage in any kind of way, you know. But the only skills he had really was the toolkit and the shield 5, of course, which he probably could have used, I don't know, to try and get out of that node. And now blue team are just going to be able to stretch towards the mid, you know, and they're going to be able to go into that 3 versus 2 situation and also move back towards the waterfall where currently Naya is trying to move to as well. So, you know, that's not going to be an easy fight for him to win there. I mean, I do think Pharaoh's probably going to win that fight. And we do see, again, we see Atrasti trying to go on towards the quarry node. If he can take down Lord Asura quite quickly and try and get some stuns off and whatnot, he might be able to try. I don't know, he's doing pretty well actually at the moment. He's got down to about half HP, but look how fast he can regen that health.
Atrastia versus Lord Asura is a very similar scenario to say if Atrastia was taking on a Hambo or just in general any warrior really, is the fact that there is a lot of in melee range spike that Atrastia has to be careful of, but as long as he plays a very safe game, and as we saw there, he was not playing that. He screwed up one of his dodges and Lypion was able to connect and eviscerate, but if that had remained the 1v1, because of how well Atrastia was managing the situation, we more than likely would have seen an outcome where Atrastia wins it. The unfortunate part part is that, again, very similar to how most of these fights are going, it takes Atrocity a very long time to actually win that 1v1, just due to the fact that he has to play it so passively. So with that said, blue team still holds the cap for a considerable amount of time, and in the end of things there, if anyone reinforces it and stops the cap, it just may not be worth it for Atrocity to pressure onto it, technically speaking, a disadvantaged fight like that.
Yeah, this is not good for Reds. I don't believe they can come back from this. You know,
they're like we were talking about earlier. They really needed to try and pressure big fights and try to force the blue team into those. They've really been unable to do that so far, and because of that, red team, or blue team, apologies, is doing an excellent job of keeping the fight split up, keeping them stalemated, and in general, just holding on to their caps here by keeping 1 or 2 guys planted near or around those points, so that they can ensure that, again, they always hold on to the caps and they keep just very, very long fights going. That's what blue team's been doing so far this entire set. They've been doing a phenomenal job at it, and unfortunately, on this map specifically, red team has been having a really hard time just trying to get members of the blue team grouped into one big zone so they can try and force a big team fight.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I like about the builds on the blue team as well, actually, is the fact is it Lypion, like we were talking about earlier with that Warhorn. That's a nice change, and it really is something which is actually working. You know, it's a nice build change as well. And Farrell's doing very, very well, and he's having some trouble at the moment versus Ken, but I think he might be okay in the end, because I do feel like
depends here now. These Condis are going to be too much for Farrow to handle there, so he goes down. He still has the Vapor Form and all that. Here, Draze is
back up though.
Yep, Draze is on his way. The question is, will he be able to get there in time? Not entirely sure, but Ken not going to go for the stomp there. Not sure if that was the correct choice, as again there you got to remember that Draze had the banner available, so that just gets Farrow right back up into play now. And with that said, Dishikin is going to be forced back into a disadvantaged fight. Draze is not even going to stick around here. He's just going to leave again and head back over towards mid, as they have managed to get a full cap over there as well.
And this is you know, like Predator Esports, piece of Nutella. We saw them playing in the Tournament Legends Qualifier 1, I think, and they did an excellent job. They didn't go to the finals. They're a very good team, but you know, this setup is just, you know,
it's very annoying to fight against on the blue team.
You need high DPS. You need high DPS. You need to out-rotate them as well. When you've got guys that know how to play these builds, and you know, they make the builds better, and they help how the Guild Wars 2 PvP scene is actually shaped, you know, it's going to make it even more difficult. So I don't really feel like anyone could just jump into this team setup and do such a good job, because you do still need to do the matchup right, and you still need to rotate well, and you need to support where you need to support, obviously, which is what happened, which is what we saw with Dresden coming onto the point, using that banner. And I don't feel that the red team are doing the same kind of thing in any kind of way at the moment.
And at this point here, red team is pretty much just chilling in their base, so I think they have seceded the match. So with that said, we're going to toss out a little bit of an early congratulations to Too Young to Be Esports, which means they're going to be scoring the 2-0 victory here in the set in just a few moments, as soon as we tick to 500 points. And with that said, they will be moving on to the semifinals. We don't know exactly who they'll be taking on yet, but once again, if they're able to take that victory as well, we'll hopefully be seeing them a little bit later on today in the finals. Jebber, are we going to be showing both these semifinals on stream, or just one? Do we know yet?
Not too sure. I think we'll have to just double check with the admins, because the other one looks like it has potentially. We've got Oops, I Credit Again versus I Love Lunch, and we have Fixie Lads, and who will now be against Too Young to Be Esports.
All right, very good. So indeed, guys, those matches are coming up in just a little bit. I believe we're doing an on-stream gem giveaway today as well, after we get through the semifinals, right before we get to the finals, correct?
I think they've actually got it on their Facebook page.
Okay, they have it on their Facebook page?
Okay. I do believe, yeah. So I think Ollie or someone might just, there you go, that's a good link, I suppose. They'll probably put that in the chat at some point, guys. So pay attention to the chat, because I know they're doing a Guild Wars 2 800 gem giveaway over on the Facebook page. So make sure you're liking that and following it and whatnot, so you have a chance to be in with some gems.
All right, guys, so I believe we are going to take a short break here for commercials, and we're going to figure out who we're going to be showing next on the stream here as well. But as soon as we do come back, we're going to be bringing you our first of a possible 2 semifinals we'll be showing on the stream here today. Stick around for more of the ESL Weekly Cup number 43, actually, coming up here in just a few minutes, guys. Be right back.